And we're back. Birthday Wish by Bronius Maximus. Scootaloo's birthday is coming up, and Rainbow Dash is uncertain of what to get her #1 fan. Upon asking her, it seems her birthday wish would be a little harder to obtain than Dash thought. Enlisting the help of Twilight, the two mares set out to ensure that little Scootaloo has her best birthday ever. That's right, a fic about the best filly where nothing bad, tragic, or otherwise horrible happens to her or any pony else. This is my first attempt at a pony episode-like fic. So here we go. Birthday Wish by Bronius Maximus. Chicken, penguin, or ostrich. Names like these would cut her to the core, though she did not dare to give her bullies the satisfaction of knowing it. Her friends were always there to hurl the insults right back, and sometimes she'd even given a few herself. Deep down, however, words hurt. It wasn't simply the fact that they were being said, especially by the likes of the two school antagonists. No, it was the fact that there was a modicum of truth in the word. It's been said oftentimes that the truth hurts. It was no secret that she couldn't fly. The only way for her to feel the rush of the wind through her mane was on her scooter, and even then the sensation was fleeting. It only lasted as long as the hill she raced down on would go. She craved the ability to speed towards the ground, to pull up at least at the last possible moment, only to use that momentum to dive down again. She found herself atop this grassy knoll outside of town many days after school, when the rest of the Crusaders had chores or too much homework to do. She'd never been much for schoolwork, much like her idol. Scoots held a belief that she could only start flying, everything would fall into place. This one hurdle, it seemed seemingly unsurmountable object, was the only thing that's standing in the way of her happiness. She held this belief very close to her heart. She found clinging to it much easier than having to deal with what was looking to be more and more an obvious truth. Scootaloo sighed, letting her scooter fall on its side and resting on her haunches. From the hilltop, she could see the prismatic streak of her hero's arc across the sky. No doubt she had clouds to clear. Rainbow Dash said she'd cleared for the rest of the week. Perfect weather to start flying, if she could only get her wings to cooperate. She practiced 100 flutters, forward and back, every night like Rainbow Dash instructed, but it didn't seem to make much progress. She could hold herself up for a second or two, but it took an Herculean effort, and she never got more than a few inches off the ground. Scootaloo glanced back towards her wings, stretching them as far as she could. The primary feathers barely cleared her sides.
No wonder I can't fly.
Up until recently, she had held up hope that maybe she was just a late bloomer. Unfortunately, as soon as the cakes brought their twins home, one had already started flying. As good as she was at ignoring what was fairly obvious to most Pegasus adults, she could no longer ignore it when it was thrust in front of her like that. A practically newborn foal could fly, and she could not. Many nights she cried in her mother's lap, wanting more than anything to know that why every pony else's wings let them fly, and her didn't. Her mother always gave the same answer, though after hearing it all her life, it was beginning to lose effect.
Your wings will grow when they're ready.
She hated that excuse. Most foals her age were already in their first year of flight school. Entrance required basic demonstration of flying ability, which she had yet to demonstrate. So she was earthbound, like the unicorns and earth ponies. Sometimes she felt she may have been born in the wrong race. She'd often think that maybe she was simply an earth pony with wing-like appendages, a faux Pegasus perhaps. For all her sulking, there was always one pony who would, without fail, be able to rescue her from the self-loathing pits of despair she often found herself mired in. Rainbow Dash came streaking over the horizon, spotting her from a mile away like she always did. This hill served a purpose. Not only was the grass soft and the dandelions tasty, but it was only the bare hilltop in Rainbow Dash's sector. The orange coat and purple mane stuck out like a ripe apple on a tree.
Rainbow!
Scootaloo called out as her hero approached. Hey, Squirt! Dash answered, flaring the wings her young friend was so envious of as she landed before her. How was school?
It was okay. We had a math quiz.
She moaned, standing to greet her idol. Yeah? You passed?
Barely.
Math's for nerds anyway, Dash said casually, knowing a certain egghead would disagree. Scootaloo sighed.
Tell that to my parents.
They just want you to do good in school. All parents are like that, I promise, Dash added, mushing her mane. So, I heard your birthday is tomorrow? Rainbow Dash recalled. She replied sheepishly.
Yeah, where'd you hear that?
Where do you think? She replied. Been thinking about what you want? Scootaloo sat hard on the grass, resting her head in her hooves.
Not really,
she answered glumly. Hey now, fillies are supposed to get excited about a day when every pony they know gives them free stuff. What gift? Rainbow Dash asked, taking a seat beside her.
It's not that I'm happy, it's just...
Rainbow Dash spread a wing around her. Scootaloo glanced at the powder blue primary feathers tickling in her shoulder in the breeze and sighed. You ever wanted something you can't have? Rainbow Dash snorted. Well, duh! You know how long I've waited for the Wonderbolts to let me try out for the squad? No sooner had the words left her mouth did what Scootaloo was trying to get across a click in Dash's mind. Hey, who's to say you can't have it? You just have to give yourself more time, that's all, Rainbow Dash consoled, pulling the filly a bit closer in the warmth of her soft feathers.
That's all I ever hear. I'm already 8, and I'm no closer flying when I was 5.
Rainbow Dash's eyes shifted away from her gloomy pal to the horizon. The sun was still high in the afternoon sky. Listen, Scoots, I'm not a doctor or anything, so I don't know what I could tell you, she began. All I know is that flying isn't something you can rush. It's just going to happen. It's just going to happen when it happens. And when it does, you'll think about all the pouting and the sulking you did before and laugh. Though Dash meant well, her inspirational speech did little to raise Scootaloo's spirits. Thinking quietly, she devised a new plan. Hey,
Rainbow Dash.
Sorry. Hey, how about I fly you up to a cloud layer for a little bit, and you'll fly with me, huh? Up until now, she would have jumped at the chance to be in the sky with Rainbow, especially hanging out in the clouds where she would feel most at home. This time, her self-pity got in the way.
Thanks, but I'd rather fly up there myself,
she said, standing up and grabbing her scooter and helmet.
See you, Rainbow,
she said softly, walking beside her scooter down the hill. As Dash watched her go, she couldn't help but feel a pain in her chest for Scootaloo. It wasn't her fault her wings hadn't grown yet. Though no one would say anything around her, none of the other Pegasi had ever heard of a colt or filly unable to fly by the time they were 8. Rainbow had performed her Sonic Rainbow when she was 7, and most were in flight school by 6. So she wants to fly for her birthday, huh? Dash thought, knowing a simple ride on her back probably wasn't going to cut it this year. Who do I know that could be able to help Scoots fly? She thought, scratching her mane in concentration. I got it! A brief series of knocks summoned Twilight Sparkle to the door of her library.
Hello, Rainbow. The new Daring Do book just arrived. I've been holding it off the shelf for you,
she said happily. No time for that, Twi. It is? She shook her head, remembering just why she was there in the first place. I have to check it out later. Right now, I've got a problem. Twilight stepped aside, allowing Rainbow Dash in.
Okay, what is it?
She asked, pouring herself a cup of tea, taking a seat on her favorite reading cushion. Scootaloo's birthday is tomorrow, and I asked her what she wanted, she began as Twilight interjected.
Oh, that's right. Pinky reminded me earlier today. I had Spike run out and grab her something. I'm just going to say it's from both of us. because apparently I'm terrible at picking gifts.
She said with a hint of bitterness in her voice. Yeah, well, when I asked her, she was all sad and mopey. Aren't falls supposed to love birthdays?
I suppose.
She replied, taking a tentative sip of her tea.
Any idea why she was acting that way?
Well, yeah. It's because she still can't fly, Dash said, shuffling nervously. Twilight nodded.
I see.
That's kind of why I'm here. I figured if anypony could help her fly, it'd be you, Rainbow Dash explained, nearly causing Twilight to choke on her tea.
What makes you think I know better than you?
Because I just can't tell some pony how to fly. They just have to just know it. It'd be like trying to describe a color to the blind. It's just something you have to experience. Twilight set her teacup down and looked sternly at her now seated friend.
That's very poetic, Rainbow. But I'm still not seeing how I'm the best pony for the job.
Dash rubbed her eyes with her hooves, her ears twitching in annoyance. Because you've got all that science and junk in here, she said, motioning to the bookshelves behind her. You're telling me... That's Rainbow. You're telling me that not one of these books has a magical spell that makes ponies fly or something? You give Rarity wings. Why can't you give them to Scootaloo?
Well, I could give her wings, but they wouldn't last forever,
she said with a sliver of annoyance in her tone.
Are you sure she isn't just a late bloomer?
Rainbow Dash exhaled, dropping her hooves to the floor with a clop. Yes. None of the other Pegasi I've talked to have ever heard of a flightless 8-year-old. I'm starting to think her wings may just be too small. As much as Twilight would have loved to just cast a spell and fix Scootaloo's problems, she realized that the implications of both physically and ethically had to such a request.
Tell you what, when Spike gets back, I'll research Pegasi anatomy and see if there's any medical reason why she can't fly yet. If there isn't, I'll see if there are any spells that may be of use. But I'd really rather not use magic on a foal if I can help it,
she admitted, recalling the last time her magic got the better of the entire town. Rainbow smiled. Thanks, Twilight. Now, about the Daring Do book. Daring leapt across the gap of the cliff's edge and the mouth of the forbidden temple. Before her lay a seemingly empty hallway, but our savvy heroine knew better than to trust the ancients. Stepping carefully, Rainbow set the book down over her eyes and groaned. For whatever reason, she subconsciously refused to immerse herself in the book. Her hayward thoughts kept drifting back to Scootaloo. I hope Twilight figures something out. I'd hate for her birthday present to be finding out that she'll never fly. Rainbow glanced at the Wonderworld's clock. It was 9:30. She had to be up early for work tomorrow. Luckily, Scootaloo's party wasn't until afternoon. The minor twinge in her temples threatened to become a full-on headache if she didn't stop reading. Rainbow dog-eared the page and closed the Daring book's latest adventure, setting her on the nightstand for tomorrow night. She flew up to her ceiling and closed the skylight she had created to read by, before gently floating back downwards to her sheets. Even now, she took her ability to fly for granted. She used it every day, for the most mundane and menial tasks. It was just as much of a part of her life as magic was a part of Twilight's. She couldn't even begin to imagine a world in which she was forced to live on the ground, especially the cruel joke of having wings, but being unable to fly with them. Her apprehension was soon replaced by a bold confidence. After all, if anypony could figure out a way to make Scootaloo fly, it was Twilight. That, however, brought with it another unfortunate moral question. Was it right to give a filly a day of flying under her own power, knowing that it would only last for a day? Was it their place to tease her with the life they both knew she wanted more than anything? Would that even be considered a gift? What if she hated the two of them for it? Ethical questions raced through her mind as she began considering why she didn't get Scootaloo a card with 40 bits inside instead. Reaching into her nightstand, she removed half a leaf of a plan Sakura had prescribed for helping her to get to sleep. Napping all day had done a number on her sleep cycle. She popped it in her mouth and chewed it, while still considering the implications of making Scootaloo fly with magic. As soon as she had finished clearing the sector of her clouds, Rainbow Dash zipped straight to Twilight's library, charging through an open window when she noticed a pile of books about everywhere, and an annoyed Spike trying his best to reshelve them all the volumes. "I guess I have you to thank for all of this," Spike grumbled, passing her with an armload of books. "Yeah, but it's for a good cause, trust me. You seen Twilight?" He shelved the books he was carrying and pointed to a few towers of stacked books still to be put away. "Over there, in Book Fort." Hovering over, she saw the egghead pal behind a few veritable towers of tomes.
Oh, hi, Rainbow,
she said, sipping her coffee, not an ounce of fatigue in her voice. "You've been doing this all night, haven't you?" Rainbow Dash asked, concern evident in her tone.
Oh no, I slept enough, just all afternoon,
she replied, yawning as she stretched her forelegs and then her back legs while rolling her ears forward and back.
Anyway, I've got good and bad news. Which do you want first?
Twilight asked, stepping out of her book fortress. The good news, I guess.
Okay then. I figured out a way to make Scootaloo fly on her birthday,
she said happily, clapping her hooves together. And the bad news? Rainbow Dash asked cautiously.
Well, there are two parts to the bad news. One, I could find no medical reason Scootaloo is unable to fly. Two, is it really our place to make her fly, knowing she couldn't reproduce the same results by herself?
Dash sighed. She had just this debate before with herself all night, and all day today. I don't know. I mean, I just take her into the sky all the time. But I don't know if she'd be happier if she just thought she was doing it by herself.
If she thought she had flown under her own power, what's to stop her from jumping off a cliff because she thought she could fly?
Twilight asked, nailing Rainbow Dash's fears dead on the head. As the silence filled the room, Rainbow Dash had a sudden burst of inspiration. Wait! What if you made up something to convince her that she would actually be able to fly just because it's her birthday? Twilight raised an eyebrow.
What?
You know, like a birthday wish or something. Like some mystical magic power like that. If you wish hard enough, will it give you what you ever wished for? Twilight's jaw hung a bit open.
You want us to lie to her?
No, Rainbow Dash said, waving her hoof and stepping beside Twilight. It wouldn't be lying. It was just us making things up.
Telling Scootaloo something that isn't true is lying, Rainbow.
Dash snorted. When Rarity wanted you to wear that dress she let Sweetie Belle design out in public, did you tell her it was the ugliest thing you'd ever seen? Twilight blushed, recalling the gown. Rarity was reluctant to ask her to wear it, as Twilight was to figure out a way not to.
No?
Exactly! You told Sweetie Belle it was lovely, and you'd wear it the moment of the opportunity come up. You told her something that wasn't true. Now, is that not lying? Twilight pawed the ground, her ears folding back against her head.
Well, you see, that's different.
I don't see how. You're protecting Sweetie Belle's feelings, and I'm trying to lift up Scoots. Now, are you in on this or not? Reluctantly, Twilight nodded.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll get the checklist all planned out. All you have to do is bring Scootaloo to the location marked on this map after her party. I'll take care of the rest. Spike and I will give her this necklace and tell her it's magic, and grant her one birthday wish. Make sure she's wearing it before you bring her to the field.
Got it! With that, Dash sped off to get ready for Scootaloo's party. Pinkie Pie was throwing it, of course, and the start time was 4. After running through the plan in her head a few times, Rainbow Dash was confident this would just be the motivation to those little orange wings of her needed to get flying. Once 4 o'clock rolled around, many ponies had gathered at the Sugar Cube corner to celebrate Scootaloo's birthday. Rainbow was one of the last to arrive. She spotted Twilight standing near the table of gifts as Spike chatted with the other children. Ready, Twilight? She whispered.
Yes, Spike and I will leave once the party begins to wind down. Once you tell her what your gift is out in the field, bring her out and we'll get her flying.
Rainbow Dash smiled. She couldn't wait to see the look on Scoot's face when she was hovering with her in the sky. From across the room, Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon sat alone at a table eating a slice of cake.
I can't believe our parents made us go to these lame blank flank's birthday parties.
Diamond asked.
No, it's definitely not as good as your cute Serena last year.
Silver complimented.
I know that. Even if they even made me buy her a birthday present, like I'd willingly spend money on that loser like Scootaloo.
She huffed, just knowing that money could have been spent on ice cream or a new tiara. As they scanned the room around, Diamond noticed Spike, setting a folded piece of paper down on the table as she continued to walk with the other fillies in her class. Once his group migrated away, she got up from her place to check the note. She had secretly admired the scaly little guy for a while now, but wouldn't dare to breathe a word of it to anypony, not even Silver Spoon. As she unfolded the paper, she realized it was a checklist of some kind. A checklist with the header, "How to make Scootaloo fly without using her wings." Diamond was confused at first, but decided to hang on to the list anyway. After all, it had come from her sweet dragon prince. Perhaps she would add it to the shrine later. As of now, she had to stay at the party until her parents came to pick her up.
What you got there, Diamond?
Silver Spoon asked, startling her.
What? Oh, nothing,
she said, stuffing the paper in her saddlebags laying on the table. Soon, the party was starting to wind down, Scootaloo having arrived at her last present, acutely aware that Rainbow Dash hadn't gotten her anything. As her parents carried out all the gifts back to their house, Rainbow Dash trotted over. "Hey, Scoots, I got you something for your birthday, but I'll have to take you to it to see it, okay?" Dash whispered as Scootaloo threw on the necklace as Spike and Twilight had given her. "You did?"
You did?
Oh, sorry. She gasped excitedly. Go ahead.
Every pony. Rainbow got me a present and it's outside. Come on!
She shouted, leading her friends out of the sugar cube corner. Rainbow nodded nervously, not anticipating how big the audience her little scheme was about to have. All the remaining foals followed Rainbow Dash to the field, for as she prayed, Twilight was in position.
Alright, Spike. That looks like every pony. Do you have the checklist?
Twilight asked. Yeah, I think. He said, searching himself. No.
You lost it?
Twilight whispered harshly. I'm sorry. I must have set it down at the party and left it. Twilight rolled her eyes and produced another piece of paper and quill from her bag, hastily creating another list from memory. Now don't
lose this one.
As Rainbow Dash positioned Scootaloo in the center of the field and told her of the magic necklace, Twilight charged her spell. Ready, Scootaloo? Philly nodded. Wish as hard as you can and start flapping those wings, okay? Dash instructed as the other foals locked on excitedly. She screwed her eyes shut and began flapping her wings furiously. The necklace began to respond, and sure enough, Scootaloo felt her hooves leave the ground. She was concentrating too hard on flapping to see just how high up she had gotten. After what felt like hours, she heard Dash call her by her name, only it sounded distant. She opened her eyes and gasped. She was higher than the treetops. She had done it! Scootaloo leaned forward and as Dash flew up to meet her. You're doing it, Squirt! You're flying! She squealed with delight as she flew forward and backwards, flying in every direction, though Rainbow Dash kept her in range of Twilight's magic. As Scootaloo's wings grew tired, she landed before her cheering friends and classmates.
This is the best party ever! I can't believe Scootaloo flew!
Sniff said to Snails, infuriating Diamond Tiara. She couldn't dare to be outdone by a no-pony like Scootaloo. Her cute scenario was the best party, and she knew it. As luck would have it, she knew just how to bring down the orange filly's spirit. Scootaloo settled down on her hooves, adrenaline still coursing through her veins as a mild smile refused to leave her face. As her friends congratulated, her, Diamond Tiara stepped up through the crowd of the departing ponies.
So, I guess you think you can fly, huh?
She asked, grinning devilishly.
Well, yeah, I just did.
She answered happily.
Uh-huh. Well, I just wanted to give you this. Consider it a second birthday present from me.
She said snidely.
Happy birthday.
She removed the checklist she had found earlier and set it on her hooves before laughing as she waited for her to react. Scootaloo slowly read the note before scoffing aloud at it.
What's this supposed to prove?
She asked, knowing Diamond Tiara would try anything to ruin her good time.
It proves you can't fly, and without magic. You'd be stuck here on the ground. Some Pegasus you are.
She said, sneering.
You could have forged this. Rainbow Dash would never lie to me, and I'll prove it.
She snapped confidently.
Oh yeah? How?
By flying off a cliff at the edge of town.
Scootaloo said proudly. Diamond Tiara snorted.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Then watch closely.
Scootaloo growled, dashing towards the peak with her classmates and her rival right behind her. After a few minutes, Rainbow Dash wanted to congratulate her #1 fan, but couldn't locate her. Spying 2 of her classmates, she approached Snippet Snails, the 2 of them having been more interested in cake than anything else. You two seen Scoots?
She's gonna jump off Dead Pony's peak to prove she can fly.
Snails answered. Oh well, that's just... What? Rainbow Dash spread her wings and began flying towards the cliff's edge before being stopped by Twilight's magic.
What's the matter, Rainbow?
She asked. Scootaloo, gonna jump off cliff, thinks he can fly, she said, struggling against Twilight's magic.
That's preposterous. Why on earth would she do that?
Poetic justice. Let me go, Twilight, she demanded, pulling on her tail, still stuck in Twilight's magic.
Wait a second. You mean Dead Pony's cliff?
Yes! Let go of my tail! Twilight released Rainbow, allowing her to nearly break the sound barrier as she galloped with Spike behind her. Rainbow spotted a crowd of fillies and colts gathered around her at the ledge of the steep drop, with nothing but the sharp rocks waiting to catch her below. She could hear Scootaloo saying something, but she couldn't tell what as she approached the cliff's edge. Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon egged her on, while the other Cutie Mark Crusaders tried to talk her down. Before Rainbow Dash could reach the edge, Scootaloo jumped, her wings fluttering intensely but to no avail. She plummeted like a rock in water, screeching towards the jagged rocks below. Rainbow kicked her wings into a high gear, zipping over the edge and over the cliff after her. Within moments, Rainbow flew back to the solid ground with a shocked filly in her forelegs. Alright, show's over! Get back to your parents before I all whip ya! Rainbow Dash shouted, dispersing the crowd of youngsters before hearing Diamond Tiara's remark.
I knew you couldn't fly.
As she watched the other falls leave, a sob drew the attention back to Scootaloo. Scoots? What's the matter? She rubbed her eyes with a hoof, still sniffing as though she had a cold.
Diamond Tiara was right. I can't fly.
She whimpered. What are you talking about? You flew earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, but not just then.
She snapped, motioning a hoof towards the cliff.
She found a checklist Twilight made. I didn't think it was real. I thought she made it herself, but it was. You lied to me.
She sobbed, her words cutting straight into Rainbow Dash's heart. Scootaloo, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It was just...
Just what?
You
thought a lie would make me a good birthday present? Why would you tease me into something like that?
Her eyes were a fiery red, and her ears pinned back in anger. Dash sighed. Scoots, I didn't mean to find out this way. I know you can fly if you really want to, she pled, trying to get her to understand her reasoning. I thought if you got a taste of what it's like, you'd be flying on your own in no time.
Well, you were wrong. I'll never fly.
She yelled, disgusted that she could have been so easily fooled. Scootaloo, do you know what Twilight said when I came up with this dumb scheme? She asked, changing the subject and taking her little friend by surprise.
No.
She told me that there was no medical reason why you weren't able to fly. Do you know what that means? Scootaloo raised her head and take a look at Rainbow Dash's eyes.
No.
It means that those wings you were born with can lift you up, but they can make you fly. Rainbow Dash sat down next to her crying pal and wrapped a wing around her shoulders. Up until now, have you thought you could fly?
No, because my wings are too small.
She answered softly. Do you know what else I told Twilight? Scootaloo wiped her nose with a hook.
What?
I told her that I couldn't just tell you how to fly. Flying is something you feel, something you just do. It's like breathing. You don't think about it, you just do it. Now, do you think I'd ever be able to fly if you kept thinking you never will? Scootaloo sniffled a few times before answering.
I guess not.
That's right. You won't if you think you can't. But I'm going to tell you something, Scoots. Your wings may be small, but they can carry you. They're strong enough because you know you're strong enough. And you understand me?
I guess.
Right. So now that you know you can fly, I'll make a deal with you. If you can't fly right now, on your own, I'll never fly again. Anywhere. Ever. Scootaloo gasped.
But what about your job? Or the Wonder Balls? Or any of that other stuff?
I don't care. If I'm never allowed to fly again because I tricked you, then that's gonna be my punishment, she said calmly. Oh, Celestia, please let Twilight have been right about Scoots not having no medical reason for not flying. Scootaloo looked around.
Twilight isn't hiding in the bushes, is she?
Nope. It's just you, me, and the sky. Scootaloo took a deep breath, closing her eyes in concentration. Remember, Scoots, it's all in your head. If you want to fly, you can fly. I know you can. Dash encouraged as Scootaloo began flapping her wings. The gentle breeze softly lifted her hopes off the ground. This was nothing new, but she kept her eyes screwed shut as she pumped her little wings. Scootaloo, Rainbow Dash said softly. She opened her eyes to see Dash in front of her, a wide grin grazing her features. With a motion towards the ground, Scootaloo gasped. She was nearly 15 feet high. The thrill of her first magic-induced flight came rushing back, though she was much more unstable on her own than with Twilight magic holding her aloft.
I'm doing it! I'm actually flying!
She shouted, still in a bit of shock. I told you! It was all in your head! Dash congratulated, hovering right beside her. She could have checked her flank for the cutie mark, but at the time she didn't care. All that mattered was that she was finally flying, like her kind was meant to. Now that she could finally nap on the clouds, ditch her scooter, though not permanently, and take to the air on a whim. Today was the first day of the rest of her life, and she was going to live it to its fullest. She was going to have the strongest wings in all of her class by the end of the month. She could feel it. So, Scoots, how about we hang on that cloud layer? She looked at her idol and smiled.
Sounds good, but can I hitch your ride? My wings are kinda tired.
Rainbow Dash chuckled. Sure thing, Squirt.